Ryan again with the Farm2Table Direct Show, and once again we're here at the OKIE Homestead Expo 2024, Mayes County Fairground, Pryor, Oklahoma. Sun's out. It's turned into a nice afternoon. Got tons of people out here running around. So hey, glad you're tuning in with us. Sorry if you wasn't able to make it. Make your plans for next year as soon as we get the dates out. But anyway, we're sitting here with Brandon and Stephanie Eddy from Eddy Family Farms. They're some fellow YouTubers, and they're out here. They're working as volunteers here at the expo. Have been here, I think, all 3 years.
Yeah.
And so we welcome them in, and they're kind enough to join us and give us a little bit of their time.
Yeah. Well, like you said, we've been a part of it the last 3 years. We've come up and helped the expo, which this year has been amazing. It's good turnout. Weather's good. It's a little bit cold this morning. But if you've never made it to one of these events, I'm sure it's going to be here next year. Like I said, the dates will be out. But yeah, we're just glad to be a part of it.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's been the crew, everybody, with Dutch and Hidden Heights and them welcoming everybody in,
Yes.
and y'all guys. And I know without, guys like yourselves volunteering and being out here, there's no way this thing could happen.
No, and that's one thing they made it very clear, is like if they didn't have all the volunteers that come out and help, and then all the people that wants to either start in the homesteading community or learn more, it's made because of everyone. Everybody has to come together to make it work like it is.
Well, that's just that goes right along with something that we're real big in, which is stronger together. Our hashtag and about building community and growing that community. But listen, so catch us up on what's been happening over on y'all's place. I know y'all are working on the house and doing things, getting ready.
Yeah. So, like I say, if y'all have never watched this or tuned into us, we lived in the city limits. In 2019, we started a YouTube channel. In 2019, we started a YouTube channel and eventually wanted to get some land to move out and start a small farm to teach our children where the food and stuff comes from. Right. And we've been out there for about 18 months now. First we lived in a camper.
Right.
That was 14 months really rough, but we've moved into the tiny cabin now, and right. We are just now looks like within the next month or so, fixing to start building our house.
Oh, that'll be all right.
But other than that, we just enjoy raising animals and teaching our kids about animals. The biggest thing we got is goats, and the goats are just fabulous to sit out there and enjoy.
I remember some of your earlier years when you were getting started in this. I believe, was it Daniel Arms that you guys were friends, and how you guys actually started initially into the homesteading community, and y'all just kind of made a decision at a certain point to go into it. How long have y'all actually been, like, from the time you made the decision, when did that all start, and how did that start?
So, like you said, with Daniel Arms, I'm a deputy sheriff, and Daniel Arms was the Oklahoma Highway Patrol. He worked in the same county. We live in the same county, and it just over one night of coffee. We knew he had a YouTube channel, and he was talking and encouraging. He's like, "Man, try it." And I was like, "Nah, there's no way I can stand up and talk in front of a camera." I was like, "I ain't got nothing interesting people want to talk about." Because at the time I was building the wooden American flags, and we started building the flags. That really good, but there's only so much you can show of just wooden American flags. And I always try to involve my kids with things. They would come out in the shop and cut wood, and people started seeing them, and people wanted to see more of them. So after talking to Daniel and Dutch and several other people, that's when we kind of thought, maybe we will try to start raising animals and try to teach them about livestock and stuff, because it's so amazing how animals are therapeutic. It's awesome, and I'll kind of go on the story here in just a second when we get there in regards to what animals do. But so when we first started, it was Rustic Woodwork. It was our YouTube name, and then once we realized that people enjoyed the family, we changed it to Rustic Woodwork and Family. So we carried that for about a year or so. And once we decided, okay, we're going to do this, we found some property, bought some property, and we moved a camper out there, and we just started I mean, this property, when we moved in, we had to cut trees down just to get to the back of it. And we worked on that for 18 months before we actually moved out there. But once we moved out there, it was just like another world. Because which we know nothing about how to take care of them at the time. You always get your advice from other people, and that's one thing I like about the homestead community or anybody in farming. They're all about to give you advice and help you. It ain't something to run you down or you don't know this, you don't know that. And that's one thing this here I really enjoy because there's so many people that hasn't been a part of it, and they are wanting to learn about the homesteading community.
Right, and I appreciate that story. Now, what kind of advice would you give to somebody? Because there's a lot of people out there that's thinking about it, right?
Uh-huh.
But they haven't pulled the trigger or they hadn't made that commitment to it. It's not a. I'm sure you're going to tell us it's not all at once and overnight that this
Right.
happens. What kind of advice would you give to them?
So, especially with the YouTube part and the farming part, starting a YouTube channel is at the beginning. If you're getting in to start a YouTube channel and get rich, you're in it for the wrong reason. It'll never work. It'll never work. We started YouTube channel to document the memories of our kids, and even now, I wish my parents had because I, I remember things, but you can't see things.
Yeah.
And like my mom's deceased now, so though I never see that no more. But so if anything ever happens to us, our kids can go back. We've been on YouTube for 4 years now, and it's amazing to go back and look at the beginning how big our kids were. They couldn't talk, and
Right.
and now they're just their own little person. So it's really cool.
Right, and they're probably getting used to being on camera occasionally, right?
Yeah, yeah. So that's another thing I tell other YouTubers with kids is we got lucky when we started YouTube. All of our kids were really really small, so they knew nothing about cameras. They just grew up into it, so it's nothing to them that. And that's one thing with our channel. It's so easy for us to record because we just show our everyday life. And one reason why I show my everyday life is, and you don't realize this until you start a channel and you interact with your fans, but we get emails all the time from people that have been sick, that have had cancer. I've had one here today come up and tell me that she's had stage 4 cancer, and get her watching our videos the last year and a half has made her want to fight. And that's a hard thing to swallow to keep you from getting emotional.
Yeah.
But it's amazing what it does because it's so many people in this world today that are lonely, and we see that. We go live once a week on both of our channels for 2 hours, and that is to interact with our audience. And that's when I've learned that there's so many lonely people in this world that we want them to know that what we do is, if we didn't have them watching our videos, we wouldn't be able to do what we do.
Right.
So we consider our farm a part of theirs. I've always kind of went back to like growing up. I remember there was like a sim farm that you built your own farm. So that's what I see them as, is like if they watch the videos, and we do take their input. We
Yeah.
take a lot of them's input. And I think some people think they're just watching a video, it doesn't matter. We want our people to know it does matter, because with you watching our videos showing support, that's what gets us to grow.
So earlier you had mentioned the effect that the animals has had on you. I guess you're talking about the psychology, just the emotional side of things. Um, what what
Yeah,
can you
so-
say about that?
So there's 2 parts to that, and I'll kind of scoot over here with her so she can hear. But when we first moved out there to the country, we have a younger son. His name's Kason, and he just didn't talk as much. I don't know what you'd call autism.
Yeah, he's autistic and just quiet until you get to really know him.
Yeah, so like I said, he's autistic, and once we moved to the country, we found out chickens was his thing, and chickens has brought him out to be somebody. I mean, real talkative. Every day it's about chickens. He's all about checking his eggs. He loves eggs. If you go back and find videos of him, just to see him find an egg is just amazing. It's so crazy, and it's every single day. He's so excited. So with the chickens, we've been trying to grow a flock so we could start raising them. So now he's getting more and more of them. But just to see his eyes light up and just like be shocked that he found an egg, and like I say, the animals help people, and you see it through therapeutic dogs and stuff. But going back to I'm in law enforcement, and law enforcement, you see a lot of things that you don't want to see, but you have to. But after a while, you get molded to it, so it's just like another accident or something like that. So when I was working full time, I'm only part time now, and I would have a rough day or something, or go to a car crash, or something bad. I could always go out to them animals, and that's my deal, is to love to sit down in the goat barn. Right now we have just 20 or 30 baby goats, and just sit there and just, I don't know, just watch them just play and jump back and forth.
Well, I should say, when watching y'all's channel and stuff through different times, and of course, y'all do have two channels, so y'all are doing two different things there and showing different sides of it, so they can get a little bit of a variety of what's going on in the farm life. But I've got my own property, and we started working on this stuff. And my wife, she's got the mental, like, I'd like to do that, but you get out. Well, one of her things that she is really awesome at is we have trees that just drop limbs nonstop. I mean, it's like a constant job. But cutting them, and that little baby chainsaw that y'all would be out there using. When I first seen that, I'm like, what are you going to do with that? Because I got a big 20-inch bar, I'm out there. And then I sit there and watch it, and she's seen that on the video. She's like, you got to get me one of those.
Yeah,
And it's still on my list if I got to get her. But it's like those little things that you learn. I watch y'all's fire. Sometimes y'all out there burning. I'm like, oh, man, they're going to burn the whole place now. And but it's that interaction every day that people get. And you talk, the animals. And I've watched you and the kids, y'all and the kids out there in the garden and picking things and doing the movement through all that. And, that I think for a lot of people, that if you've got kids and you're bringing them up, that willingness to get your kids involved. It gets them out from behind a video game. It gets them out of a house. It gets them outside. And I think it makes them healthier.
Yes, no, it does. For one, a lot of people says this is with my oldest son. My oldest son has been by my side all the way through the wood shop. Anything I do, they're always wanting, can I do it? Can I do it? Can I try it? And I always say that, with them doing that, they're going to be so much smarter in the real world. That's my whole deal. I want my kids to rely on themselves, not someone else, even my girls. Because I want them to be independent, and them growing up, and even our living conditions now, like living in a trailer and then a tiny home. It's like we're working up. We started from nothing, and we're working up. Now we're fixing to get into a big house. And that was one thing I told the kids the first year we moved out there. We had Christmas in our little tiny home. It was nothing but a building. And I told them, I said, next year we'll be in a house. Well, we didn't get in a house. But, hey, we made sure that tiny home was ready to move in. We moved in 2 days before Christmas and had Christmas in there. Right. So
when was that?
That was this year.
That was this year, Brandon?
Yeah. We moved in to December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. And it'll be a Christmas. We'll never forget it because, we've always had the big trees and stuff, but in the tiny home, we ain't got much room in there. But we had a little bitty tree here and a bunch of gifts around it. Right. And it'll be memories like that. They will always remember.
That's the stuff I tell people all the time. I told a friend of mine, I said, your kids never, he was upset. He couldn't get his daughter something she wanted. I said, they're never going to remember that toy. I said, but they're going to remember the time you put in with them more than they're ever going to remember a gift or a toy. And but I laugh. You talk about living in the travel trailer and living in space. Me and my wife lived in a subdivision in town. We bought our land. It took us a while to get out there. Same, different reasons. Well, there was a transition period going on between our kids in the house and another house. We moved into our travel trailer for about 3 months. And it was just me and her and the 2 cats. So we didn't even have kids to have to deal. And I'm like, I remember one time, I'm like, I do not know how y'all and Dutch and them, how did they do this with kids, And I'm like, because so it's a lot of respect to willingness to put it in there and make that sacrifice of what I call nice things,
Yes, yes.
living in a comfortable house because we've moved out of a subdivision to me to my happy place. But she's had to get used to living in the country and all that comes with living in the country and
Right.
everything. But so to me, it's always that encouragement. Hey, you can do this, no matter where your background or what you came out of. This is something that is achievable
Yes.
if you really want to make that happen.
And like you said, anybody that wants to do it can do it. Is like, because when we moved out there, we didn't have a house. We didn't have, we started on a barn, but once we got into the camper, yes, there is sacrifices. We had to tote water in. We toted water in to feed the animals because the ponds were dry. So I mean, I will say this much: it is not easy. I work harder now than I've ever worked in my life, just keeping up with the animals because it isn't like an 8 to 5. It's like all night. There's nights that we've been out there, especially through the goats kidneying stuff, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. But it's all worth it at the end of the day because you're teaching your children how to raise up, and they learn so much out there. And going back to the fire and stuff, we caught so much grief over that. But a lot of people don't understand, like, Southern Oklahoma.
Oh, it was funny to me.
Yeah,
but, I mean,
yeah.
Because I grew up.
Oh man, some of them, boy, they was on us like really bad. But that's just what we country boys do down here. Even when I was in school, we'd find one of our friends, pastor, build a big bonfire and just sit out there and just hang out.
When I started cleaning on the property, it was already a house there and everything, but the property had just been let go. I literally, when I first drove on our property, I couldn't see. The grass was over the hood of my truck.
Right.
So I couldn't even see the pond. I knew it was there, but I couldn't see it. And so started working and clearing. Well, of course, with that comes trees down, brush, cleaning. And with our clearing, some stuff we did, we've got, I think, 4 trees we dropped. Well, that's all got to be burned, all that brush, because we're cutting the firewood, but everything's got to be burned. I've got a brush pile right now that it's like, man, I got to burn this thing. When am I going to do it? But and it's like, I called the police, the sheriff, all them, hey, this is where I'm at and I'm burning. So if you get a phone call and it ain't me, relax. Yeah.
So that's kind of like us. Every time we burn, we'll call dispatch and say, hey, I want to do a control burn. They'll mark it down. There was one day 2 weeks ago, I called and said, I'm going to do a control burn. It's like, no, you can't do one today. The wind advisory is too high. Right. We're not in a control burn. We're just discouraging from it. Could I went ahead and burn? Yeah, but I just followed their direction because, they know. They see it all the time. And, it's just, I don't know. It's just, another thing, and I can see other people, when we first tried to do this on a bonfire, I put diesel on a fire. And the only reason why I did this, I wanted to show my kids what diesel and gas does to fires. I can tell them that all day long, and it can go in one ear and out the other. But if I show them how fast that takes off,
right,
they're always going to remember.
They'll
that.
know. Yeah, it's a lesson.
And that's what we did. We was all out there, and we got grief over it. But at the end of the day, I know my kids know what that diesel, and they know what gas is.
Right. Well, that's awesome, and that's that hands-on teaching. Now, Steph, I'm going to switch gears because you do have 2 channels. It's Eddy Family Farm, and then you've got your time that you do. So, tell us about your side that you work with.
Well, I am life on the Eddy Family Farm.
Okay, life on the Eddy Family.
And so the title kind of gives it away because that's all we do. I'm more out with the animals. Like, he's doing the day-to-day stuff that he has to do. And then me, like the babies. The babies, we have 33, I think, babies on the ground right now. And we make sure that they are nursing right. Or if we have one that has 3. So we want to make sure that they are all feeding because not all mamas can feed out 3 babies. And so if we have to bottle feed them, we'll bottle feed them. But then I'm not so much with the chickens, but Kason is out there 24/7 when he's not in school, and Braden's the other chicken man. So I'm more the goats and the llamas, and I got a couple ponies that I'm just in love with. But that's pretty much all I do is I just go out there and do more of the animals. deals, like the one-on-one with the animals.
Well, and I know others do as well. They'll split a channel, where they're doing and showing two different sides. But for me, I appreciate it because the simple fact is that a couple can look and they can see the two different aspects of it, and can see you out doing what you do, and know that, hey, okay, I can do that, kind of thing. Because I can sit there. I work. I had to buy a tractor with a hydrostat transmission, even though I didn't want one, so that somebody else could get on the tractor besides me. Because I started with an old 80 Ford, and I was the only person who could run the tractor.
Right.
Well, now my daughter, she got on. We had some snow and ice coming. She got on the tractor on her own with a blade, went out there and cleaned the driveway.
Right.
Okay, great. And so that having to adapt, but being able to see others. My wife watches when we go on the channels and stuff. She ain't checking us out. She's over there watching, seeing what's happening over here. And I think it's important that gets across that stereotype that some people may have, that it breaks that down.
Yeah.
That's kind of with the tractor. That's what I'm learning now, is because we just got back in December,
Tractor.
not automatic, but a standard.
Oh, okay.
We got a standard tractor only because he's like, you're going to learn this one because I grew up on this one and I'd rather have this one than this one. And so I tried talking him into, hydrostatic.
Yeah.
We didn't get that. But I'm learning, driving it, I'm doing good. But it's like we tried loading dirt the other day and it just kept dying.
She's still learning at it, and like I say, is the only thing I didn't like about the hydrostatic is, like, if you have a load of dirt or whatever, and you're filling it up in a dump truck or a trailer, you can't just push the clutch in and roll up there. You got to go.
You got to ease it in.
Yeah, ease in. So that's the only thing I didn't like about it, and then the price was different, but I do kind of wish go back to doing it because it is a lot easier. She's now trying to learn how to, go in and pick up a hay bale. She can drive it anywhere and go up and down.
Right. But I mean, I know, but like with the older transmissions, I've got a control for RPMs, but my foot will do just as much. Yeah. But with that particular tractor, you have to RPM that thing up, so it has enough power and not die.
Right.
Now, my old 8N had to do the same thing, but when that thing died, it was dead. So it was like I've literally had to pull my tractor out with my four-wheel drive truck because it was off somewhere I couldn't get out.
Yeah, that's the hard part, in which that was right before we left when you was doing that. Yeah. So we're still going to work on that. But, not only that she shows her life, what she does on the farm with showing the animals, because, like I said, once again, animals are therapeutic. People watching the videos love to see the animals. The people that are invested in your family, they feel that they're in your family and them animals are theirs. And we love each and every one of our subscribers. And, we've met tons of them here over the weekend, and it's been amazing. But, with our main channel is, she does most of the recording for me.
Oh, okay.
So like when I'm doing things out on the farm and stuff that the camera's moving around, she's usually the one that does the recording, and she keeps up with hers. So it's awesome. There's a lot of people that watches her channel that don't watch mine because they just really enjoy the animals.
Right.
So Brandon, just a little bit for the people out there who either want to start a YouTube channel or they're currently doing one. How are you guys handling your editing process? Because that really takes up a lot of time. And I think especially people who has not done it before, they don't really realize how much of a time commitment it is for the editing process. Have you guys found any like little shortcuts or anything like that to kind of help y'all out?
I wouldn't say shortcuts. I mean, really, I video mine. I edit mine. She videos hers. She edits hers. And like you say, a lot of people don't realize how hard it is. Some people think you just go out there with the camera, but they don't realize some of them videos take 2 or 3 hours to break down, especially if you got a lot of stuff going on through a day.
Yeah.
And I use Femoral 9 on mine to do all my editing and stuff, and I'll let her talk about hers.
So some people think that I'm like crazy for, I try to keep it at a 20-minute video. That's what most everybody, try to keep it kind of not too long, but not too short.
Mm-hmm.
And with my editing, I do like maybe 27 to 30-minute video, then edit it down to a 20-minute video. That's what's easiest for me. But when I video, I act like there's a friend right beside me when I'm talking to the camera. So I don't I don't act like it's a movie. I'm acting like I'm talking to someone on the other side of the phone.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes it easy for me. I don't know.
So did it take you just a little bit of time to kind of like get over the shyness of the camera, because that
People
was a
say
thing,
that. Yes.
right? Anytime any of us is new about doing stuff like that, I know we went through a phase that we were like the deer in the headlight. Okay, we're about to go live, but seriously, after a while, you kind of get comfortable with it, you forget about it, and then you just do what you do.
Yeah.
And has that been your experience with that?
Yeah. Yeah. It took me a very long time. Like, I was the one to only video Brandon because I didn't want in the camera. I didn't want people looking at me and me be on a TV or something. I was like, but I've always, until I had kids anyways, I was always the shy girl. Then I had kids, and you can't be shy anymore after you have kids. But
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the same for you.
Yeah, that's kind of the same. And like you say, is a lot of people don't realize how hard it is to do. And going back to people starting a channel, we get this a lot, even since we've grown so big. There's a lot of people that starting channels that just will send an email wanting shout outs and stuff. I don't ignore them. I'll send them a message back and telling them. Like when I got in it, Daniel told me, here's the deal, go film, 30 to 40 videos, and you get comfortable behind the camera where you can be behind the camera without being noticed. He said, once you get to that point, you get comfortable, I'll have you come over and we'll do a collaboration together and help you get monetized. And that's the reason why, and I got lucky when that happened, because he called me like the night before and said, hey, Dutch is coming down, so once you bring him a flag, you do a double collaboration. So I was like, oh yeah. Well, after that happened, they aired their video. I got like 2,000 from each one of them. That's when Daniel was at 50,000. Well, both of them was at 50,000 subscribers when I first got my shout out from them. So I was like, man, shout outs is the way to go. So I was like, man, I was hitting up all these channels like, hey, you want to do a collaboration? And like some of them wouldn't even respond back, because some of them would be very hateful. And after we hit about 30,000, I started understanding, there's other channels out there, and they will love to help, but they want to see you put in the work too, not just give it to you.
Right. It's not a giveaway.
Yes,
Earn
it's not.
it, right?
You have to earn it. And for one, we have several, and I've always said from day one, I will never forget where I come from, because I know how hard it is, and I always shout out channels. But kind of my deal is I'm going to watch that channel and make sure it's something that my values, because if there's a channel that's wanting a shout out that is over racing motorcycles, it does no good for me to do a collaboration with them, because nobody wants, our people are watching farm stuff. But we couldn't have made it where we're at today without all of our friends. And that's what you do, is just you build friendships, and you see it a lot when you go to events like this. People will come up and put a camera in your face and, will come up and ask you for collaborations. That ain't the way to go. If you want to build a friendship before, you move to the next level. And then once people see you and you see that you're there for the good and want to build the friendship, they're all about to help you.
Yeah, and that's totally understandable. And man, I just really appreciate you guys coming out here. Is there anything that's like near and dear to your heart about, and maybe something you want to tell to the people about the expo? This has been such an amazing event, and I keep saying that. I know I've said that a million times, but it's because it's really true. You get out here, you realize that you're among friends, you're among like-minded individuals here, and there's a lot of knowledge, there's a lot of learning that can go on right here. And you may have the idea that you want to become independent. Maybe that's why you want to go out and do this, but there isn't anything about 100% independence. We actually have a community,
right.
And that's what this expo for me has been all about. what's your feeling about the expo, Eddie?
Well, I really,
Brandon.
I'm good. I enjoy it. For one, I get to be with all of our friends up here that we've met over the years, and then I get to see new faces. But it's so nice to see, kids out here having fun. As we see, they're out there with the animals right now, just enjoying animals and playing. And it's a lot of fun every year. But what a lot of people don't realize is, yeah, it's fun these 2 days here, but there is so much that goes on.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yes, so Dutch and Randy, Kevin, and Rachel all year. I mean, preparing all this to happen, and then you get 2 days here and it's over. It's just like, oh wow, it's over. And then it's time to start over again. I don't think enough of people realize how much work they put into it to have this happen.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, we can attest to it. I mean, it's what we do is not as big as what you guys are having to put on here, but it took a lot of time and a lot of hours of well, just studying. I'm serious. I mean, it's not natural. A lot of this stuff doesn't come natural to us, but it takes a lot of study, a lot of learning about how to do things, and learning about the people that's involved in this, and so that when we come here, we hope to, to bring a good representation to the community, the greater community out there, what this movement is really all about, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, bro?
Well, like I said, I mean, of course, me and you've talked quite a bit off camera about that. And, like I said, that nobody sees those thousands of hours. Even y'all's back behind y'all's channel, nobody sees the behind that. I mean, they see y'all's life, but they don't see those hours when the camera's not rolling, that it takes to give everybody that little clip. To give everybody that work.
That's what we say is, we get this a lot. Like, we'll go through doing certain things, and then people will say, well, there's no water in that. They don't water their chickens or they don't water their animals. And I'm like, everything we do is not on camera. We try to put our whole life out there.
But it's impossible.
It's impossible. I will say that, for pretty much we share everything about our life, even school, the sports and stuff,
right.
Because for me there's so many lonely people in this world. I want them to feel like they're wanted and loved by us, by us sharing that content with them.
I'll say here, at particularly at the expo and like y'all's channel, certainly that bringing people in that, like you said, people say, well, why do you watch this stuff? It's like, well, because you're a part of their life. I mean,
yes.
you're involved, and you come out here, and there's people we met last year that we talked to and different stuff. They're back out here again, and
yes.
Hey, hey, how's it going? And catch back up. So it's almost like a reunion every spring. Of the people that come out here, and then there's, like you said, this morning when Daniel was opening up, and they asked how many it was their first time at the expo, and the number of hands that went up in the air was crazy.
Yes.
And so it's just continuing to grow. And, it's guys like y'all and all the other volunteers and Dutch and Brandon, Kevin, and Rachel, all them that work behind the scenes. And I know so many others, Walker Farm family, different ones that help them
yes.
out. And I think Brown family's here and different ones that are volunteering and making it happen. Of course, the sponsors, put the money behind it. But, it just takes it to do it. But, that's that community that we fell in love with when we came here. And, the promotion of that. And so there's just no way to experience it but to come out and experience it, even with us sitting here talking. But I'll just go ahead and give you any final thoughts, anything,
We can't wait until next year.
I know it already, right?
Yeah, today's the last day. You're like, oh man, we got to wait another year now.
Yeah, I know it's. We only had to wait 9 months this time, so we kind of got a break. Well, listen, hey, Brandon, Stephanie, we appreciate so much your time coming, sitting down with us here at the Farm2Table Direct Show, and certainly for all the work that y'all do on your channel and all the work that y'all have done here to make this a possible event. And something we do at the end of every interview, every episode, we do a thing where we say, prepare for the unexpected and keep it local. So we kind of drag that out. So we're going to do that. We're going to sign off. And if y'all can chime with us on that, we'll do it. And we'll knock this out. All right, everybody. Once again, Ryan and Keith with the Farm2Table Direct Show here with Brandon and Stephanie Eddy from Eddy Family Farm and Life Eddy Family Farm.
Life on Eddy. Eddy.
Life on the Eddy Family Farm. I'm going to get that one. I ought to have it. I'm sub to it. I ought to know that. Anyway, thanks for watching this. And, hey, again, hit the sub, hit the like, get the word out. And go over and follow, subscribe to them and check their channel out if you haven't. And listen, awesome stuff here at the OKIE Homestead Expo 2024. And as we always say here on the Farm to Table Direct Show, prepare for the unexpected.